Greetings. Before we proceed, it's a fun idea if you comment with your current location. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's make ourselves comfortable and I leave the office early, a rare treat. The plan is to surprise Sophia and spend some time with Emma. Traffic is light, and the August sun feels warm on my skin. As I pull into the driveway, I notice the house is quiet. Too quiet. I slip inside, expecting to hear the usual sounds of laughter or the TV. Instead, I'm met with silence. "Daddy!" Emma's small voice breaks the stillness. She runs to me, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. "Daddy, someone's in Mama's room." My heart skips. I kneel down, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "What do you mean, sweetie?" Her lower lip trembles. "A man! I heard them talking." I stand up, a cold chill running down my spine. Emma's never been one for stories, and the way her eyes dart nervously tells me she's not making this up. Before I can ask more, Sophia appears at the top of the stairs, slightly out of breath. Her face is flushed, and her shirt is buttoned wrong, one too high, one too low. "What's going on?" I ask, trying to keep my voice calm. She forces a smile, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Emma's just confused, that's all. I narrow my eyes, my pulse quickening. Something's not right. "Why are you out of breath, Sophia?" She opens her mouth to answer, but I don't wait. I push past her, moving quickly down the hallway. My footsteps are heavy, the air thick with something I can't quite name. I reach our bedroom door, finding it slightly ajar. I push it open, and there he is. Sophia's boss, Alan, stands by the bed, fumbling with his pants, his shirt half tucked, his face flushed with panic. His eyes widen when he sees me, and he freezes. "Look, man, this isn't what it looks like," Alan stammers, holding up his hands as if that would stop what's coming. I feel the blood drain from my face, my hands trembling with a mix of rage and disbelief. My mind races, trying to process what I'm seeing. Everything that made sense a minute ago is suddenly shattered. The trust, the love, it all crumbles in an instant. "Take this," Alan says quickly, pulling a wad of cash from his pocket. He throws it on the bed. 5,000. Just forget this ever happened. The insult hits harder than the betrayal. $5,000. That's what my marriage, my life, is worth to this man. I see red. Without thinking, I close the door behind me, blocking out the world. My belt slides from my pants with a hiss, and I hold it tight, feeling the leather bite into my palm. Alan backs away, his eyes wide with fear. "Please, man, don't do this." But it's too late. My world has just been shattered, and someone's going to pay for it. The door slams shut behind me, the echo vibrating through my bones. Alan stares at me, eyes wide with terror, his breath coming in short, sharp gasps. He knows what's coming, and so do I. My hand grips the belt tighter, the leather creaking under the pressure. Every rational thought has left me. There's only rage, the kind that consumes, that leaves no room for mercy. "Please," he whispers, taking a step back, hands raised as if they could protect him. "Let's talk about this." I laugh, but it's a harsh, bitter sound. "Talk? You want to talk now? You didn't want to talk when you were screwing my wife, did you?" He flinches at the words, shame flashing across his face. It only fuels my anger. The image of him half-dressed, sweaty and desperate, in my bedroom, my sanctuary, burns into my mind. There's no coming back from this. "Listen," he tries again, his voice trembling. "It was a mistake. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just let's forget this ever happened." I take a step forward, and he shrinks back, his back hitting the wall. "You think you can buy your way out of this? $5,000 to erase the betrayal, the humiliation? You disgust me." I can feel my pulse pounding in my temples, each beat harder than the last. My vision narrows, tunneling in on his terrified face. I raise the belt, the weight of it heavy in my hand, and swing. The leather snaps through the air, connecting with his chest. He cries out, a high-pitched wail that echoes in the small room. I hit him again, and again. Each strike releases another wave of anger, another layer of betrayal. He collapses to the floor, curling in on himself, trying to protect his head. But I don't stop. I can't stop. His cries become screams, the sound tearing at my eardrums. But I don't care. I want him to suffer. I need him to. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I hear Sophia's voice. She's pounding on the door, shouting for me to stop, but it's distant, like she's on the other side of a thick wall. I don't listen. All I can focus on is the man in front of me, the pain I'm inflicting, the satisfaction it brings. I don't know how long it goes on. Seconds, minutes, hours. Time loses meaning. It's just me, the belt, and his screams. At some point, I grab my phone, fumbling with it until I manage to hit record. I want to remember this. I want to hear his begging, his pleading, every time I think about what he did to me, to my family. He's crying now, broken sobs that shake his entire body. Blood runs down his face, his shirt torn and hanging off him. He's no longer trying to protect himself, just lying there, limp, waiting for it to be over. I stand over him, chest heaving, staring down at the pathetic mess I've made. And for a brief moment, I feel a flicker of guilt. But it's quickly smothered by the overwhelming need for revenge. I lower the belt, my hands shaking, the adrenaline starting to wear off. Alan looks up at me, his eyes red and swollen, face streaked with blood and tears. "Please," he whispers, barely able to get the words out. "Please, no more. I should stop. I should leave." But the hatred that's consumed me has one last demand. I lean down, bringing my face close to his. "You'll never forget this," I say, my voice cold and flat. "Every time you look in the mirror, you'll remember who did this to you. And you'll know why." I grab his phone from the floor and toss it to him. "Call someone to pick you up. You're done here." He fumbles with the phone, his hands trembling so badly he can barely press the buttons. I watch him, my breathing slowing, my mind starting to clear. This was necessary, I tell myself. He had to pay for what he did. As he stammers into the phone, I turn away, walking to the door. Sophia's gone silent on the other side. I don't know if she's still there or if she's left. I don't care. I open the door and step out, closing it behind me. The house is quiet again, but it's a different kind of quiet, a heavy, oppressive silence that weighs on me like a lead blanket. I walk down the hallway, each step slower than the last, the adrenaline draining out of me, leaving me hollow. When I reach the living room, I collapse onto the couch, my head in my hands. My hands are still trembling, the phantom feel of the belt lingering in my grip. I can still hear his screams echoing in my ears, the wet thud of the belt against his flesh. Sophia appears in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock. She says nothing, just stands there, staring at me, like she's seeing a stranger in her home. And maybe she is. I don't recognize the man who did what I just did. "I had to," I say, my voice cracking. "You know I had to." She doesn't respond. She just keeps staring, her eyes filling with tears. I don't know if she's crying for him, for me, or for herself. Maybe all three. Finally, she turns and walks away, disappearing down the hall. I don't go after her. I just sit there, the weight of what I've done pressing down on me, crushing me. I don't know how long I sit there staring at nothing, lost in the darkness of my own thoughts. It could have been minutes or hours. Time has lost all meaning. When I finally get up, the house is dark. I wander through the rooms checking on Emma, finding her asleep, her little face peaceful, unaware of the storm that just tore through her family. I end up back in the bedroom, where Alan's blood still stains the floor. He's gone, the room empty except for the remnants of his presence. I stand there looking at the mess, the guilt and shame finally catching up with me. What have I done? I thought I'd feel better, but all I feel is empty. I pull out my phone and look at the recording. It's all there. Every scream, every plea. I watch it, my stomach turning with each second. The man on the screen isn't me. He's a monster. But I can't stop watching. I play it over and over until the battery dies, the screen going black, leaving me alone in the dark with my thoughts. Eventually, I clean up the mess, scrubbing the floor until my hands ache, until there's no trace of what happened. But I can't clean the memory. It's burned into my mind, a permanent scar that I know will never heal. Sophia doesn't speak to me for the rest of the night. She stays in the guest room, the door locked. I don't try to go in. I don't know what I'd say if I did. What can I say? I did what I had to do, but I know it wasn't right, not by any measure. The next morning, the sun shines through the curtains, and I almost believe it was all a nightmare. But the stiffness in my muscles, the rawness in my throat from shouting, tells me otherwise. I reach for my phone, hesitating before I power it on. The screen flickers to life, the battery low, but enough to see the notification, a message, an unknown number. I open it, my heart skipping a beat. Nice work. I saw everything. This isn't over. The bottom drops out of my stomach. Someone knows. My first instinct is to delete the message, pretend I never saw it, but I know that won't solve anything. I stare at the words, the bile rising in my throat. Who is this? I type back, my fingers trembling. The reply comes almost instantly. You'll find out soon enough. Don't get too comfortable, and don't think about running to the cops. You're in this now. I throw the phone down like it's burned me, my mind racing. Who could it be? A neighbor? Someone from the office. My heart pounds as I think about who could have seen. Who could be doing this? The paranoia starts to creep in, the feeling that I'm being watched, every move scrutinized. I pace the room trying to figure out my next move. Do I tell Sophia? She's already on the edge, barely holding it together. I can't drag her into this. Not yet. Not until I know more. I grab the phone, my thumb hovering over the message. I can't delete it. I need it as evidence, in case this goes further. But I feel like the walls are closing in, the air too thick to breathe. The day passes in a blur. I can't focus at work, my mind replaying the events over and over. The message gnaws at me, the words taunting, reminding me that I'm not in control. I feel like a puppet, my strings pulled by an unseen hand. That night, Sophia and I sit in silence at dinner. She's not looking at me, her eyes fixed on her plate, pushing food around but not eating. I try to reach out, to say something, anything that might bridge the growing chasm between us, but the words die in my throat. When Emma asks if everything's okay, Sophia forces a smile, telling her that everything is fine. But I can see the cracks forming, the lies we're both telling ourselves. I can see that she doesn't believe a word of it. After dinner, I retreat to the bedroom, locking the door behind me. I pull out the phone, staring at the message again. I type a response, my fingers hesitating over the keys. What do you want? The reply is quick. You'll know when the time is right. For now, keep quiet. We're watching. We? The word sends a shiver down my spine. This isn't just one person. There's more. How many? How much do they know? My mind spirals, the fear tightening its grip. I can't take it. I need to know who's behind this. I need to find out before they make their move. But I have no leads. No idea where to start. All I know is that I'm being watched, and I can't trust anyone. Not even Sophia. I turn off the phone, throwing it onto the bed, the feeling of helplessness washing over me. I thought I was in control, that I could handle this, but I was wrong. I'm out of my depth, and the water's rising fast. Lying in bed that night, the darkness feels suffocating. Every creak of the house, every whisper of the wind outside sends my heart racing. I keep expecting the phone to buzz again, another message, another threat. But it stays silent, the weight of the unknown pressing down on me like a boulder. I close my eyes, trying to will myself to sleep, but all I can see is Alan's face, the terror in his eyes, the blood on the floor. The sound of his screams echoes in my mind, a constant, unrelenting reminder of what I've done. And now someone else knows too. They know, and they're coming for me. I sit on the edge of the bed, my mind racing. The room is dimly lit by the early morning sun, but it feels oppressive, like the walls are closing in. I can still hear Alan's screams echoing in my head, the way he begged for mercy. I close my eyes trying to block it out, but it's useless. It's all there, burned into my memory. I've deleted the recording a dozen times, but it keeps coming back. Somehow it's still on my phone. Every time I check, it's there, mocking me, reminding me of what I did. I pick up the phone again, my thumb hovering over the video file. I know I should delete it, destroy any evidence, but something stops me. Maybe it's the fear that deleting it won't change anything. The damage is done. There's no going back. Sophia hasn't spoken to me since that night. She moves around the house like a ghost, avoiding me, barely acknowledging my presence. I don't blame her. I can't look at myself in the mirror without feeling disgusted. How can I expect her to? But I can't afford to let things fall apart. Not now. There's too much at stake. I need to keep it together for Emma's sake, if nothing else. She's already asking questions, sensing the tension between us. I can't let her see what's happening. Can't let her know the truth. I spend the day cleaning the house, trying to erase any trace of what happened. But no matter how hard I scrub, I can't get rid of the bloodstains in my mind. Every time I close my eyes, I see Alan's face, beaten and broken, and I feel the bile rise in my throat. I thought I'd feel better, thought I'd get some sense of satisfaction from making him pay, but all I feel is emptiness. Sophia leaves for work without a word, her eyes avoiding mine as she grabs her keys and heads out the door. I watch her go, the silence between us like a chasm that's grown wider with each passing day. I want to reach out, to tell her I'm sorry, but the words stick in my throat. What can I say? Sorry for what I did. Sorry for being the man who's destroyed everything we've built together? I sit at the kitchen table staring at the phone. I need to do something, need to figure out who's behind the messages, who's watching me, but I'm at a loss. I've gone through every possibility, every person I can think of who might have a grudge against me, but nothing makes sense. There's no one who could know what I've done, no one who would go to these lengths to torment me. I grab the phone, scrolling through my contacts. I need help, need someone who can figure this out, who can dig deeper than I can. I stop on a name, someone I haven't spoken to in years, but who I know is good at getting answers. I hesitate for a moment, my finger hovering over the call button. I don't want to drag anyone else into this mess, but I don't see any other option. I press the button, listening as the phone rings, my heart pounding in my chest. Hello? The voice on the other end is familiar, but there's an edge to it, a wariness that wasn't there before. It's me, I say, my voice rough, almost unrecognizable to my own ears. There's a pause and I can hear the surprise in the silence. What do you want? I need your help, I say, the words coming out more desperate than I intended. Someone's threatening me. I don't know who they are, but they know everything. Everything? The voice sharpens, the tension palpable, even through the phone. What did you do? It's complicated, I say, rubbing a hand over my face. Can we meet? I don't want to talk about this over the phone. Another pause, longer this time. I can almost hear the gears turning, the hesitation, the weighing of risks. Finally, there's a sigh. Fine. Same place as before? Yeah, I say, relief flooding through me. I'll be there in an hour. I hang up, my hands trembling. This is a risk, bringing someone else into this, but I'm out of options. I need answers, and I need them fast. Whoever is behind this isn't playing games. They're serious, and if I don't figure out who they are, I'm going to lose everything. I leave the house, locking the door behind me, the tension in my chest tightening with every step. The drive is a blur, my mind racing with possibilities, scenarios playing out in my head. By the time I pull into the parking lot, my nerves are frayed, my hands slick with sweat. I spot them immediately, sitting at the back of the diner, a hood pulled low over their face. I make my way over, sliding into the booth across from them. For a moment, neither of us speaks, the tension thick between us. It's been a while, they finally say, their eyes hidden in the shadows of the hood. Yeah, I say, my voice tight. Too long. They lean forward, pulling the hood back slightly, revealing a face that's older, harder than I remember. What did you get yourself into? I take a deep breath, my hands clenching into fists under the table. Someone knows what I did. They're sending me messages, threatening me. I don't know who they are or what they want, but I need to find out. They nod slowly, their eyes narrowing as they study me. And what exactly did you do? I hesitate, the words sticking in my throat. But there's no point in hiding it now. I've already crossed the line, and there's no going back. I beat a man half to death, and I recorded it. Their eyebrows shoot up, and they let out a low whistle. That's one hell of a mess you've gotten yourself into. Can you help me? I ask, desperation creeping into my voice. I need to know who's behind this before it's too late. They lean back, crossing their arms over their chest, their eyes never leaving mine. I can try, but you need to understand something. Whoever's doing this isn't going to be easy to find. They're playing a game, and you're already behind. I don't care, I say, my voice hard. I just need to know who they are. I'll do whatever it takes. They nod, their expression grim. All right. I'll see what I can do. But you need to be careful. Whoever this is, they're not messing around. I know, I say, the weight of their words settling in my chest. Just find them. We leave the diner, parting ways without another word. As I drive home, the reality of what I've done and what I'm about to do sinks in. I'm in too deep. There's no turning back now. When I get home, the house is quiet, dark. Sophia's car is in the driveway, but she's nowhere to be found. I check the guest room, the bathroom, even Emma's room, but she's not there. My heart starts to race, panic rising in my throat. Sophia, I call out, my voice echoing through the empty house. Where are you? No answer. I feel the walls closing in, the air thick with the scent of fear. I grab my phone, checking for messages, but there's nothing. I try calling her, but it goes straight to voicemail. Where could she be? Why would she leave without telling me? I pace the living room, my mind racing. Something's wrong. I can feel it in my gut. The paranoia that's been eating away at me these past few days flares up. The feeling that I'm being watched, that someone's out there, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I go to the front door, yanking it open and stepping outside, the cool night air hitting me like a slap in the face. I look around, searching for any sign of her, but the street is empty, the neighborhood quiet. Too quiet. As I stand there, my phone buzzes in my pocket. I pull it out, my heart skipping a beat when I see the notification. It's a message. Another one. She's with us. You want her back? You know what to do. My blood runs cold, the words blurring before my eyes. They have her. The realization hits me like a freight train, knocking the breath out of my lungs. They have Sophia. I type back, my hands shaking so badly I can barely hit the keys. Who are you? What do you want? The response comes almost instantly. You'll know soon enough. For now, do exactly as you're told, and she won't get hurt. I stare at the words, the meaning sinking in like a blade to the chest. This isn't just about me anymore. They have Sophia, and they're using her to get to me. What do they want? What could they possibly gain from this? I pace the front yard, my mind spinning. I have no choice. I have to do what they say. There's no other option. Not if I want to keep her safe. The phone buzzes again. Another message. You're going to make a delivery. An address will be sent to you. Be there in 1 hour. Alone. I swallow hard, the fear gnawing at my insides. I've walked into their trap, and now I'm dancing to their tune. But what choice do I have? They have Sophia. I can't lose her. Not after everything. I check the time, then head inside, my heart pounding in my chest. I have an hour, 1 hour to figure out how to get out of this alive, how to save Sophia, and how to end this once and for all. But as I grab my keys and head to the car, the sinking feeling in my gut tells me that this is only the beginning. The game is far from over, and I'm just a pawn on their board, moving blindly toward whatever fate they've chosen for me. As I drive into the night, the darkness closing in around me, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I'm always one step behind. And the stakes have never been higher. The drive to the address they sent is a blur. My knuckles turn white as I grip the steering wheel, the tension in my chest tightening with every mile. The city's neon lights flicker past, but I barely notice. All I can think about is Sophia, what they might be doing to her, how I'm going to get her back. The car's engine hums, a constant reminder that time is slipping away. The address leads me to a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. The place looks abandoned, but I know better. I park the car and sit there for a moment, staring at the building, my heart pounding in my ears. My phone buzzes, jolting me out of my thoughts. Another message. Inside, now. Don't make us wait. I swallow hard, my mouth dry. There's no turning back. I open the car door, stepping out into the cool night air. My footsteps echo in the silence as I approach the entrance, the heavy metal door looming in front of me like a tomb. I push it open, the rusted hinges groaning in protest. Inside, the warehouse is dimly lit, shadows dancing across the walls. The air is thick with the smell of oil and decay, the kind of place where things go to disappear. My pulse quickens as I move deeper into the building, the sound of my footsteps swallowed by the vast empty space. "Hello," I call out, my voice trembling despite my efforts to stay calm. A figure steps out of the shadows, tall and broad-shouldered, his face hidden beneath a hood. He's not alone. Two more men emerge behind him, their expressions unreadable in the dim light. My heart sinks as I realize how outnumbered I am. But I can't think about that now. I have to focus on getting Sophia back. "Where is she?" I demand, trying to sound more confident than I feel. The man in the hood tilts his head, studying me for a moment. "She's safe. For now." The sound of his voice sends a shiver down my spine. It's calm, almost casual, like he's discussing the weather rather than holding my wife hostage. "I did what you asked," I say, my voice tight. "Now let her go." He chuckles, a low, menacing sound that echoes through the warehouse. "You think it's that simple?" My stomach twists. "What do you want?" He steps closer, the dim light casting shadows across his face. I can't make out his features, but there's something familiar about him, something that gnaws at the edge of my memory. "I want you to understand," he says, his voice cold. "This isn't just about you. It's about what you did, the choices you made, the lives you ruined." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "What are you talking about?" He nods to one of the men behind him, who steps forward, tossing something at my feet. I look down and feel the blood drain from my face. It's a photo, crumpled and torn, but I can still make out the faces. Alan, his wife, and their two kids. "Alan wasn't the first," the man says, his voice tight with barely restrained anger. "But he was the last straw." I stare at the photo, my mind reeling. This isn't about the money? "The video?" He laughs again, but there's no humor in it. "You really think it's that simple? This is about justice, about making you pay for what you've done?" My breath catches in my throat. "I didn't." "You did," he snaps, cutting me off. "You think you can just beat a man half to death and walk away? You think there are no consequences?" I open my mouth to argue, but the words die in my throat. What can I say? He's right. I crossed a line that night, a line I can never uncross, but I didn't think it would come to this. "Please," I say, my voice cracking, "just let her go. I'll do whatever you want." He shakes his head slowly, almost pityingly. "It's too late for that. You can't undo what you've done." I feel the panic rising in my chest, my heart hammering in my ears. "Please," I whisper. "I'm begging you." He stares at me for a long moment, and I can feel the weight of his gaze, the judgment in his eyes. Then he nods, almost imperceptibly. "Fine," he says, "but it's going to cost you." I don't hesitate. "Anything." "I'll do anything." He gestures to the other men, who move toward me, their expressions cold and calculating. They grab my arms, forcing me to my knees. I don't resist. I know this is the price I have to pay. The man in the hood kneels in front of me, his face inches from mine. "You're going to suffer," he says quietly. the same way they suffered. And when it's over, if you're still breathing, maybe I'll let her go. I nod, the fear choking me, but I can't back down now. Not when Sophia's life is on the line. The man steps back, giving the signal, and the first blow lands. Pain explodes through my body, but I don't make a sound. I can't give them the satisfaction. Another blow and another, each one harder than the last until I'm gasping for breath, my vision swimming. But I hold on. For Sophia. I have to hold on. Hours pass, or maybe it's minutes. Time loses meaning as the pain becomes all-consuming, a constant, unrelenting agony that drowns out everything else. I can't think, can't focus on anything but the need to survive. And then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops. I collapse to the ground, barely conscious, my body a broken, bloody mess. But I'm still alive. Somehow, I'm still alive. I hear footsteps, feel the cold concrete under my cheek as I'm dragged across the floor. I try to open my eyes, but everything's a blur, the world spinning around me. And then I hear her voice. David? It's faint, almost drowned out by the ringing in my ears, but it's her. Sophia. She's here. I try to sit up, but my body won't obey. Everything hurts, every movement sending shockwaves of pain through me. But I force myself to move, to drag myself toward her. David, no, she says, her voice choked with tears. Please don't. I can see her now, blurry but real, her face streaked with tears, her hands tied behind her back. The man in the hood stands over her, a gun in his hand, the barrel pressed against her temple. Please, I croak, my voice barely a whisper. Let her go. He looks down at me, his expression unreadable. You know what you have to do. I stare at him, my mind foggy, the pain making it hard to think. But I know what he wants. I know what he's going to make me do. David, don't, Sophia says, her voice trembling. Please, don't. I look at her, at the fear in her eyes, and I feel something inside me break. I've already lost so much, already crossed so many lines. But this is different. This is something I can't do. But if I don't, she dies. The man sees the hesitation in my eyes and presses the gun harder against her head. Do it, he says, his voice low and menacing. Or she's dead. I feel the tears streaming down my face, the hopelessness crushing me. I can't do this. I can't. But I have to. For her. I reach for the gun, my hands shaking, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Sophia's eyes lock onto mine, and I see the terror there, the silent plea. David, no, she whispers, her voice breaking. Don't do this, please. But I have no choice. I lift the gun, my hand trembling, the weight of it almost too much to bear. The man steps back, a cruel smile on his lips, knowing he's won. I close my eyes, my heart breaking, and pull the trigger. The sound is deafening, echoing through the warehouse like a thunderclap. I don't even realize I'm screaming until I feel the rawness in my throat, the tears blinding me. When I open my eyes, she's gone. I drop the gun, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I feel like I'm going to be sick, the reality of what I've done crashing down on me like a tidal wave. I killed her. I killed the woman I love. I collapsed to the ground, sobbing, the grief tearing me apart. But through the haze of pain and sorrow, I hear something. Laughter, cold and cruel. I look up, my vision blurred by tears, and see the man in the hood, his eyes glinting with malice. You're not done yet, he says, his voice full of dark promise. This is just the beginning. Before I can react, I feel a sharp pain in my neck, and everything goes black. I wake up in a small, dark room. The air is damp, thick with the stench of mold and rust. My body aches, every inch of it throbbing with the aftermath of the beating I took. I try to move, but my arms are bound behind me, the rope digging into my wrists. Panic claws at my chest, but I force myself to stay calm. I need to think, to figure out where I am and how to get out of here. Memories flood back. Sophia's terrified eyes, the gun in my hand, the deafening sound of the shot. I close my eyes, trying to push it all away, but it's no use. The image of her crumpling to the ground is burned into my mind, a nightmare I can't escape. I don't know how long I sit there, shivering in the darkness, before the door creaks open. Light floods the room, blinding me for a moment. I squint, trying to make out the figure standing in the doorway. It's him, the man in the hood. He steps inside, his footsteps echoing off the concrete walls. "Good to see you're awake," he says, his voice cold and devoid of any emotion. I don't respond, just glare at him, my anger simmering beneath the surface. He walks over to me, crouching down so we're at eye level. "You've been a lot of trouble, you know that?" he says, his tone almost conversational. "But it's over now, you've lost." I grit my teeth, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing my fear. "What do you want from me?" He smiles, a cruel twist of his lips. "I already have what I want. You, broken, defeated. Your life in ruins. You took something from me, David, and now I've taken everything from you." I swallow hard, my throat dry. "Sophia, she's dead," he says flatly. "You pulled the trigger. You ended her life." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, knocking the breath out of me. I feel the tears welling up, but I force them back. I can't break down now, not in front of him. "Why?" I choke out. "Why are you doing this?" He stands up, looking down at me with disdain. "Because you deserve it. Because men like you think you can get away with anything. You think you're untouchable, that the rules don't apply to you. But they do, David. They do." I shake my head, trying to make sense of it all. "Who are you?" He tilts his head, studying me. "You really don't remember, do you?" I rack my brain, searching for any memory that might explain this, but I come up blank. "I don't know you," I say, my voice hoarse. He sighs, almost disappointed. "You should. You ruined my life once. Now I've returned the favor." He turns to leave, and I struggle against the ropes, desperate for answers. "Wait! Please, who are you?" He pauses in the doorway, not turning around. "You'll find out soon enough." "Goodbye, David." The door slams shut behind him, leaving me alone in the darkness once more. My mind races, trying to piece together what just happened. Who is he? How did I ruin his life? And why can't I remember any of it? The hours drag on, the silence oppressive. My thoughts spiral out of control, the guilt and despair closing in like a vice. I've lost everything, my wife, my family, my life, and it's all my fault. I did this. I let my anger, my pride, destroy everything I held dear. But I can't give up. Not yet. There has to be a way out of this, a way to make things right. I just need to figure out what that is. The door opens again, and this time, two men enter, both wearing dark clothes and masks. They untie my wrists, hauling me to my feet. My body protests every movement, the pain almost unbearable. But I grit my teeth and force myself to stand. "Where are you taking me?" I ask, but they don't respond. They drag me out of the room and down a long, narrow hallway. The walls are bare, the floor is cracked and dirty. I have no idea where I am, but it feels like a prison, a place where no one will ever find me. We reach another door and one of the men unlocks it, shoving me inside. I stumble, barely catching myself before I hit the ground. The room is small, barely furnished. A bed, a table, a single chair. But it's the person sitting in the chair that makes my blood run cold. Sophia. She's alive. I rush to her, my heart pounding in my chest. She looks up at me, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. "David, what's happening?" I drop to my knees in front of her, taking her hands in mine. "I don't know, but I'm going to get us out of here, I promise." She nods, but I can see the doubt in her eyes. I don't blame her. I've failed her at every turn, let my anger and desperation drive me to this point. But I have to believe there's still a way out. The door slams shut behind us, locking us inside. I look around the room, searching for any means of escape, but there's nothing. No windows, no vents, no way out. "We need to think," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "There has to be something we can do." Sophia shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. David, I'm so scared. I pull her into my arms, holding her close. I know, but we're going to get through this. Together. We sit there in silence for what feels like hours, clinging to each other as the weight of our situation bears down on us. My mind is racing, trying to figure out who this man is, how he knows me, and what I did to him. But the more I think, the more I come up empty. It's like a piece of my memory is missing, something vital that I can't quite grasp. And then it hits me. Alan, I whisper, my heart skipping a beat. Sophia looks up at me, her eyes red from crying. What about him? The man. The one who's doing this. He knew about Alan. He knew everything. She nods slowly, her brow furrowing. But Alan's dead. You. I know, I say, my voice thick with regret. But what if this man was close to him? A friend? A family member? Someone who blames me for what happened? Sophia's eyes widen with realization. His brother. Alan had a brother. They were close. A cold dread settles in my stomach. Did I ever meet him? She hesitates, then nods. Once at a work event, you had too much to drink. There was an argument. The memory floods back, hitting me like a sledgehammer. The party, the drinks, the argument. Alan's brother Mark accusing me of something. What was it? Cheating? Stealing? I can't remember the details, but I remember the rage, the fight that broke out, and the way I walked away feeling victorious. I never thought about it again, but clearly he did. This is revenge, I say, the realization dawning on me. Mark's been planning this for years. He wanted to destroy me the way he thinks I destroyed Alan? Sophia's grip tightens on my hands, her eyes filled with fear. What are we going to do? I take a deep breath, my mind racing. We need to outsmart him. He's expecting us to be broken, to give up. But we're not going to. We're going to fight back. She nods, determination flashing in her eyes. Whatever it takes. We spend the next few hours planning, whispering to each other in the dark. I try to remember every detail about Mark, everything I know about him, his habits, his weaknesses. We work out a plan, one that's risky, but it's all we've got. When the door opens again, we're ready. Mark steps inside, a smug smile on his face. Enjoying your reunion? I stand up, glaring at him. It's over, Mark. We know who you are. We know why you're doing this. He raises an eyebrow, feigning surprise. Do you now? You think you're smarter than me? I say, my voice hard. You think you can get away with this? He laughs, a harsh, grating sound. I already have. Sophia steps forward, her voice steady. You won't get away with this, Mark. Someone will find us. He shakes his head, his smile widening. No one's coming for you. No one even knows where you are. Are you sure about that? I ask, taking a step closer to him. You think you're so clever, but you've made mistakes. His smile falters, just for a moment. But it's enough. I see the doubt flicker in his eyes, the uncertainty. He's not as invincible as he thinks he is. I don't know what you're talking about, he snaps, his voice rising. You're bluffing. Maybe, I say, shrugging, or maybe I've been playing you this whole time. Maybe I knew it was you all along. He glares at me, his fists clenching at his sides. You're lying. Am I? I say, smirking. You're not as smart as you think you are, Mark. And now you've made the biggest mistake of all. You underestimated us. For a moment, he just stands there staring at me, and I can see the doubt creeping in, the fear that he's lost control. And then with a growl of frustration, he lunges at me. It's exactly what I was waiting for. I sidestep his attack, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind his back. He struggles, but I'm fueled by adrenaline, by the need to end this once and for all. I force him to the ground, pinning him down. Now, Sophia, I shout. She grabs the gun from Mark's belt, pointing it at his head. Don't move, she says, her voice trembling but determined. He freezes, his eyes wide with shock. You won't shoot me. Try me, she says, her finger hovering over the trigger. For a moment, none of us move, the tension thick in the air. And then slowly, Mark lowers his head, defeated. You think this changes anything? You think you've won? I lean down, my voice low and cold. It's over, Mark. You're done. He glares up at me, his eyes filled with hatred. This isn't over. It'll never be over. But I know he's wrong. We've won. The police arrive within minutes, the sound of sirens filling the air. They burst into the room, guns drawn, and I step back, letting them take Mark into custody. Sophia collapses into my arms and I hold her tight, the relief washing over me in waves. It's over. But as I stand there holding my wife, I know that nothing will ever be the same again. The scars of what we've been through, the choices I've made, will haunt us for the rest of our lives. The dust is settling, but the damage is done. And now we have to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward, together. The trial is over, but the consequences linger like a wound that refuses to heal. I'm sitting in the kitchen, staring at the cold cup of coffee in front of me, my mind miles away. The house is eerily quiet. It's been like this since everything happened, since the police took Mark away, since Sophia and I came back here, trying to piece together what's left of our lives. I glance at the clock. Emma will be home soon, and I need to pull myself together for her sake. She's been through so much already, caught in the middle of a nightmare she couldn't understand. But even as I try to focus on her, on being a father again, my thoughts keep drifting back to the trial, to the things that were said, the things that weren't. Mark was sentenced to life without parole. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with tension as the verdict was read. I should have felt relief, maybe even satisfaction, but all I felt was empty. Mark's words still echo in my mind, his final taunt before they took him away. You won't ever escape this. You'll carry it with you, just like I will. And he's right. I can feel it, this darkness that settled over me, a constant reminder of everything that's happened. The scars on my body are healing, but the ones inside, those are deeper, harder to reach. Sophia and I haven't talked about what comes next. We haven't talked much at all. The connection we once had, the trust that seemed unbreakable, is now a fragile thing, teetering on the edge. I know she's struggling, just as I am, but every time I try to reach out, I see the distance in her eyes, the way she pulls back, as if I'm a stranger. We're both haunted by what I did, by the choices I made. I thought I was protecting her, protecting our family, but all I did was destroy the very thing I was trying to save. And now, as we sit in this house, surrounded by memories of what used to be, I wonder if there's any way back. The front door opens, and I hear Emma's footsteps in the hallway. I take a deep breath, pushing the thoughts aside and force a smile as she walks into the kitchen. She's trying to be strong, but I can see the fear in her eyes, the uncertainty. She's not the same little girl who used to run into my arms with a laugh and a smile. This has changed her too. Hey, sweetie, I say, my voice strained. How was school? She shrugs, dropping her backpack on the floor. Okay, I guess. I want to ask more, to draw her out, but the words don't come. There's a wall between us now, one I don't know how to break through. She sits down at the table, her gaze fixed on the empty space in front of her. Do you want to talk about it? I ask, hoping she'll open up. She shakes her head, her voice small. Not really. The silence stretches out, thick and heavy. I glance at the doorway, half expecting Sophia to walk in, but she doesn't. She's been keeping her distance, spending most of her time in the guest room, the same one she used when everything first started falling apart. I wonder if she'll ever come back to our bed, if she'll ever look at me the way she used to. I know we need to talk, that we need to confront everything that's happened if we're going to have any chance of moving forward. But every time I think about it, the fear grips me, the fear that she'll tell me it's over, that she can't forgive me for what I did. After dinner, when Emma's gone to bed, I find Sophia in the living room, staring out the window. The moonlight casts a pale glow on her face, highlighting the shadows under her eyes. She looks so tired, so worn down, and I know I'm the one who put that look there. Sophia, I say softly, walking over to her, we need to talk. She doesn't turn to look at me, but I see her shoulders tense. About what? About us. About everything. She sighs a long, weary sound and finally turns to face me. Her eyes are guarded, distant, and it breaks my heart to see how far apart we've grown. "What's there to say, David?" she asks, her voice flat. "We can't change what happened." "I know," I say, my voice rough. "But we can try to move forward. We can try to fix what's broken." She shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't know if we can. I don't know if I can." Her words hit me like a blow, and I struggle to find something to say, something that will make this better. But I know there's no easy fix, no magic words that can undo the damage. "I love you," I say, my voice breaking. "I love you so much, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything." She looks down, her tears spilling over, and I feel the helplessness rising in me, the fear that I've lost her for good. "I know you're sorry," she whispers. "But that doesn't change what you did, what you became." "I'm not that man anymore," and I say, desperation creeping into my voice. "I was angry, scared. I wasn't thinking straight, but I'm not him. Not now." She meets my gaze, and for a moment, I see a flicker of something in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or the memory of what we once had. But then it's gone, replaced by that same distant look. "I need time, David," she says, her voice trembling. "I need time to figure out if I can move past this, if we can still be us." The words cut deep, but I nod, knowing she's right. "Take all the time you need," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'll wait for you." "As long as it takes." She nods, wiping her tears away, and turns back to the window, lost in her thoughts. I stand there for a moment, watching her, wanting to reach out, to pull her into my arms and promise her that everything will be okay. But I can't. Not now. Not until she's ready. I walk away, leaving her alone with her thoughts, and head upstairs to our bedroom. The bed feels too big, too empty, and I lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we got here, how I let everything spiral so far out of control. I think about Mark, about the hatred in his eyes as he was led away in handcuffs. He took so much from me, from us, but I'm the one who gave him the opening. I let my anger, my need for revenge, consume me, and in doing so, I played right into his hands. The next few days pass in a blur. I go through the motions, trying to be there for Emma, trying to keep things as normal as possible. But the tension in the house is suffocating, a constant reminder of everything that's been lost. Sophia and I talk, but it's superficial, polite. The real conversations, the ones we need to have, remain unspoken, hanging in the air between us. One evening, after I've put Emma to bed, I find Sophia sitting on the porch, staring out at the night. I hesitate for a moment, then sit down beside her. She doesn't look at me, but she doesn't move away either, and that small gesture gives me a sliver of hope. "We need to figure out what comes next," I say quietly, breaking the silence. She nods, her gaze still fixed on the darkness. "I know. I don't want to lose you," I say, my voice raw. "But I know I've done things that can't be undone." She finally turns to look at me, her eyes searching mine. "I don't want to lose you either, David, but I'm scared. I'm scared of what we've become, of what might happen if we try to go back to the way things were. We can't go back," I say, the truth of it sinking in. "But we can try to build something new, something better." She looks down, her hands twisting in her lap. "I don't know if I'm strong enough for that." I reach out, taking her hand in mine. "You're the strongest person I know, Sophia, and I'll be here every step of the way. We can do this together." She squeezes my hand, a small but significant gesture, and I feel a flicker of hope. It's not much, but it's something. It's a start. As we sit there in the quiet, the night wrapping around us like a blanket, I realize that this is the beginning of a new journey, one that will be difficult, full of challenges and uncertainty. But it's a journey we have to take, for ourselves, for Emma, for everything we've lost and everything we hope to regain. And as I look at Sophia, at the woman I love more than anything, I know that no matter what happens, No matter how long it takes, I'll fight for us. I'll fight for our family, for the life we once had, and for the future we can still build together. Because even in the darkest moments, there's always a chance for redemption, for healing, and I'm not ready to give up on that chance. Not yet. Every morning I wake up, there's a moment of peace, a sliver of time before reality crashes down. But then it hits me. The weight of what's happened, the choices I made, the lives I shattered. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling and let it wash over me. There's no escaping it. I'm a different man now, shaped by the fire I walked through, and there's no going back to who I was. Sophia's already up, moving quietly around the house. We still live together, but it's like we're in different worlds, each of us orbiting around the other, careful not to collide. We've had our reckoning, faced the truths that were too painful to ignore, but the scars are still fresh, the wounds still tender. Some days I wonder if we'll ever truly heal. I push myself out of bed, the ache in my muscles a dull reminder of the beatings, the pain that became a constant companion during those dark days. I can move without wincing now, but the psychological scars run deeper. Every time I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I see the shadows under my eyes, the hardness that's taken root in my features. I don't recognize the man staring back at me. In the kitchen, Sophia is making coffee, her movements methodical, almost robotic. I watch her for a moment, wondering if she feels the same sense of loss I do. We've talked, really talked, a few times since the trial ended, but the conversations always end in silence, the weight of our shared past too much to bear. "Morning," I say, my voice rough. She looks up, offers a small smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Morning." I pour myself a cup of coffee, the bitter scent filling the room. We stand there in silence, the tension between us like a living thing. I want to reach out, to bridge the gap, but I don't know how. Every time I try, I see the fear in her eyes, the memory of what I became, and it stops me cold. "I've been thinking," Sophia says suddenly, breaking the silence, "about us, about what happens next." My heart skips a beat. "And?" She takes a deep breath, staring into her cup. I think, I think we need time apart to figure out who we are now, after everything." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I knew this was coming. We've been drifting, and now the distance between us feels like an abyss. Still, hearing it out loud hurts in a way I wasn't prepared for. "If that's what you need," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's not just me, David," she says, looking up at me, her eyes filled with a sadness that mirrors my own. "We both need this. We need to heal, and I don't think we can do that together." "Not right now." I nod, the reality of her words sinking in. She's right. We're both broken, and staying together out of habit or fear of the unknown isn't going to fix us. But the thought of being without her, of not having her by my side, feels like a knife twisting in my chest. "What about Emma?" I ask. The thought of our daughter growing up in a fractured home making my stomach churn. Sophia sighs, her shoulders slumping. "We'll make it work. We'll figure out a way to co-parent, to be there for her, even if we're not together." I take a sip of my coffee, the bitterness grounding me, keeping me from drowning in the emotions swirling inside me. "I don't want to lose you," I say, the words barely a whisper. She reaches across the counter, her hand brushing mine. "You're not losing me. We're just finding our way." I hold on to that thought, trying to find comfort in it, but it's hard. The life we built together, the love we shared, is slipping through my fingers, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. We spend the rest of the day making plans, talking about logistics, who will stay in the house, how we'll handle things with Emma, the practicalities of untangling our lives. It's painful, every conversation another reminder of how far we've fallen, but it's necessary. We can't keep living in limbo, pretending that everything is fine when it's not. By the time evening comes, I'm exhausted, both physically and emotionally. Sophia puts Emma to bed, and I sit on the couch, staring at the TV without really seeing it. My mind is a storm, thoughts crashing into each other, leaving me raw and exposed. I think about Mark, about the trial, the things that were said in that courtroom, the accusations, the evidence, the way my actions were laid bare for everyone to see. I was the victim, but I was also the perpetrator, and that's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. Mark's final words to me haunt my thoughts, his voice filled with venom as he said, "You'll never be free of this. You'll carry it with you, just like I will." He was right. I am carrying it, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to put it down. But as I sit there, lost in my thoughts, I feel a strange sense of clarity. The path ahead is uncertain, but it's there. I can't change the past, can't undo the things I've done, but I can try to build something new. It won't be easy, and I know I'll stumble, but I have to try. For Emma, for Sophia, for myself. Sophia joins me on the couch, sitting close but not touching. We sit in silence for a while, the weight of everything hanging between us. "I'm scared," she admits finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Me too," I say, and it's the truth. I'm terrified of what comes next, of the challenges we'll face, of the possibility that we might never find our way back to each other. But I also know that this is the first step toward healing, toward rebuilding our lives, even if it's apart. It's a chance to start over, to find ourselves again, and maybe, just maybe, to find our way back to each other someday. "I don't want to lose you," I say again, and this time, there's a thread of hope in my voice. "You won't," she says, and for the first time in a long time, I see a flicker of warmth in her eyes. "We'll always be connected, David, no matter what." I nod, holding on to that thought like a lifeline. We will always be connected through Emma, through the life we shared, through the love that, despite everything, still lingers between us. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of resolve. The road ahead will be difficult, but it's one I'm ready to face. I pack a bag, preparing to leave the house, to give Sophia the space she needs. As I stand in the doorway, looking back at the life I'm leaving behind, I feel a pang of sadness, but also a glimmer of hope. This isn't the end. It's a new beginning, a chance to rebuild, to heal. I step outside, the cool morning air filling my lungs, and I know that whatever comes next, I'll face it head on, because I have to, because it's the only way forward. The first few weeks apart are hard, filled with moments of doubt and loneliness. I miss Sophia, miss the comfort of our routine, but I know this time apart is necessary. I focus on rebuilding myself, on finding a way to move past the anger, the guilt, the shame that's weighed me down for so long. Sophia and I talk regularly, mostly about Emma, but sometimes about us, about the future. There's no rush, no pressure to figure everything out right away. We're taking it one day at a time, giving ourselves the space to heal, to grow, and slowly things begin to change. The nightmares that plagued me start to fade, replaced by dreams of a future that, while uncertain, feels possible. I start to see a therapist, to unpack the trauma, to confront the darkness inside me. It's painful, but it's also freeing. I'm learning to forgive myself, to let go of the anger that's driven me for so long. Sophia is doing the same, finding her own path, her own way to heal. We're not rushing back into each other's arms, but the distance between us is slowly closing, replaced by something new. An understanding, a mutual respect, a recognition of the battles we've both fought. One evening, a few months after we've separated, Sophia calls me. Her voice is soft, tentative, but there's something different in it, something I haven't heard in a long time. "David," she says, "I think I'm ready to start again. Not as the people we were, but as the people we've become." My heart swells with emotion, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a genuine smile tugging at my lips. "I'd like that," I say, my voice thick with emotion. "I'd like that a lot." We're not there yet. There's still a long road ahead, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of hope, a belief that we can build something new, something stronger. As I stand at this crossroads, looking toward the future, I know that whatever comes next, I'm ready. Ready to fight for my family, for my happiness, for the life I want to build. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. And as I take that first step forward, I feel a sense of peace, a sense of possibility. The past will always be with me, but it doesn't define me. I do. And I choose to keep moving forward, one step at a time.